In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to be cleaning the dial. So we're going to turn it over. We're going to remove the back cap of it. Hopefully. Alright, so we put that to the side. As you can tell here in the back cap it says 65. That tells you when the watch was made. And so does right here below the 6. It tells you also. Okay, now we remove. Go ahead and move that. Then we're going to remove that. Okay, alright. So the next step is to remove the crown and stem. There's a tiny little screw right there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and remove that. No, we don't remove the screw, we just unscrew it a couple of turns. And what that does is it allows the crown and stem to come out. Okay. I don't want to turn it too much. Let's see what we got here. Well, if these little screws ever come out, boy, they have bugger to get back in. I just, okay, there it goes. So there's our stem and crown. Okay, there we have it. Now what we got to do is we need to separate the movement from the dial. And let me see what we got here. There's can't really, let's see what we got. There's these little prongs here. I'm having a hard time seeing them, but there's a prong there, a prong there, a prong there, and a prong there. And what we have to do is we have to bend those back. Then we'll use our little screwdriver again. Let me adjust this. Okay, so here's one little prong. Then we push that back. Here's let's see here. That's another prong. So we push that back. Alright, here's another one. Okay, we push that back. Then here's another prong. There's 4 of them. Hopefully I got that. Okay, then let's see what we got. Alright, so there's the movement there. And you see this little copper piece here, this triangle. It's actually domed. And you always want the domed part to go toward the movement, or the highest part of it to go toward the dial. Okay. Alright, so then here's our dial. Let's go ahead and there it goes. Alright, so there it is. Okay, when we're working on a watch, regardless as to what we're doing with it, the number 1 rule is do not make it worse than when you started. If we're cleaning a dial, the last thing we want to do is to use a chemical that will remove the type, Timex and waterproof down here. That's written in some kind of ink, and that will come off with a harsh chemical. Also, we notice the dial here. I don't know what the correct term is. I don't know if it's ionized or painted or somehow it's finished in this beautiful golden color. And if we put that in the wrong type of chemical, it will ruin that. And that's the last thing we want to do. We just want, so what we're going to do with this dial is I'm going to put it in a little bit of soap water, and then we're going to swish it around some. Then I'm going to go through, after I do that, then I'm going to clean around the numbers and the hour markers, and then we're going to dry the dial. Okay, so this is how I do it. You might have a better way or a different way. Inside this cup is water with a little bit of soap. And so it's kind of... Again, I do it this way, and I'm doing it this way because I don't want to risk having any chemicals. Now, a person might say, well, that will cause rusting. We're going to take care of that, and you'll see how we prevent that. Let's get that. Of course, I'm using a graphite pencil here. Okay. Alright. Okay, so here's the dial, and here's that back plate. So we'll put that back on when we reassemble the watch. Alright, so there it is. It's wet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to return to these MA101 fine. They're kind of like Q-tips, but they're artificial fibers. And so what I'm going to do is, hopefully I can navigate this light here, but I'm going to go around all these hour markers. And on your watch dial, if you see any dirt or a little bit of corrosion, you just kind of go over it. You know, I'm not going to hit these minute marks hard. I don't want any of that ink to have any reason to come off. I'm going around and in between all these hour markers and numbers here. When it comes to this word waterproof and Timex, I might just go over it one time. I don't want to do anything to harm that. Okay, and the same thing with this code down here. Your watch will probably be dirtier. This one happened to be a pretty good example of one to start off with. I mean, as far as it being a kind of a clean dial, but this will loosen up a lot of dirt, and lots and lots of dirt on it. And that soap, I'm personally kind of nervous about using chemicals on dials. This isn't the fanciest way to do it. There's a lot of people who use, you know, much fancier methods, but this works. We're just getting around every little nook and cranny around those numbers. That's where when I was looking at it under magnification, that's where the dirt was, and a little bit of corrosion and dust was around those. Okay. I'm not putting hardly any pressure on that at all, just barely touching it. Kind of going now into the blank spaces. Trying to hit it all, but I'm going real gently. I don't I don't want to. Here's our rule again. We do not want to make it worse than when we started. Okay, I think that's good enough. It's important to know when to stop. We're going to now rinse this in plain water, and then I'm going to look at it under magnification and kind of see where we're at. Okay, so this is a different cup, and this is just water. I'm not going to dare pick up this dial with tweezers or anything like that. Anything made out of metal. Just use your fingers. And then here's our graphite pencil again. Getting all that soap off of it. Hopefully removing, dislodging any of the dirt, dust, little traces of corrosion. Okay, I'm not going to stir it in there for a million years. There's no reason to. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it under magnification with my headset. And then, okay. Just a couple of little places here and there. I'm going to stop there. Again, going back here to the rule, do not make it worse. I'm afraid if I play with it too long, I might remove some of that beautiful surface. And I'm just going to let it be. It looks a whole lot better. Okay, here's a blower. And I'm just going to simply use this to get it real dry. Let's move this by here a little bit. Okay, I'm going to turn it over for a second and get the back. These are made out of aluminum. So aluminum doesn't really rust, but it can, I guess, corrode a little bit. But anyway, we want to get it dry. So we're getting really close on it here. I guess you could let it air dry, but I don't know. I just kind of like to get it blown off. I think if I do that, then there won't be any water marks on it. Maybe there wouldn't be any water marks anyway. I don't know, but I don't want to let it air dry. I just want to kind of blow it off. Okay, as you can tell, I'm starting at the kind of center, and then I kind of blow toward the hour markers. Kind of get that. I don't think that really matters a whole lot, but that's the way I do it. Like I said, this whole thing, you might have a much better way of doing it, or a way that you prefer, and that's fine. I just try to do everything I can to avoid chemicals on these dials. A good Timex dial, these things are 50 years old. Man, they're hard to come by. One that's just really pristine, without corrosion. Very little corrosion. Okay, I think I got that. Okay, that brings up an important point. When you begin to work on a watch, you want to get as good an example of that watch as you can to start off with. If it's a customer's watch, and and the watch comes in as a non-runner, and the dial shows bad corrosion on it. And then you pop off the back lid, and the part you see here on this side of the movement has corrosion and dirt. You have to tell the customer that that watch is going to require many hours, because you're going to have to replace the movement, replace the dial, and by the time you do that, you're looking at a whole different watch. And most likely, if those things are corroded, your case will be heavily corroded. When you're looking for a vintage Timex watch, this is really important, your lugs, not to be corroded. That's something I look for. When I'm looking for a watch to kind of refurbish, I look at these lugs. And in between the lugs, just to see if it's a good example. If these things are corroded, I don't know how to say it, but it's impossible to come back from that, because Timex cases are plated with chromium, and once they get that finish off, once it goes past that chromium finish, they look ugly, and there's no coming back from that unless you were to clean it and make it perfect and then dip it. And you're looking at a watch that's a $25 to maybe a $200 watch, and you can't afford to spend that kind of time on one of these. So you want to start off with a good example. Let's say there's a Timex watch on eBay for $20 and one for $60. This one here is all corroded and junked up. It's better to go with one that's as clean as possible for $60, even if it is a non-runner. I hope that $40 is money well spent. On these dials, it's kind of interesting. They are stamped England there, so obviously England made this dial, or the nation of England made this dial. I think that's pretty cool. Alright, well, I think we got our dial clean, and then, well, next video we're going to be going into the movement. Yeah, I hope that this video has helped regarding how to clean the Timex dial. Next week, what we're going to do, or is in about 5 days to a week, we're going to begin to disassemble parts of this watch to get down to where we can clean it, and then we're going to clean it, reassemble it, then we're going to put oil. There's various places to oil these movements, so we're going to be doing that next week. In fact, that particular episode is going to be in 2 segments, because I like to keep the videos under 30 minutes. Alright, well, thank you for watching. My family and I, my wife and I, are Christians. Therefore, we support the police, we support the military. We are family-friendly, Christian-friendly, Republican-friendly. There's no communism in any of our videos. There's no bad words or bad attitudes. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a good night.